I'm Henry.
And I'm Trey, and welcome to Marvelous, a Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast.
Where we go through the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe in order of release. All the movies, all the shows, all the one-shots will be covered here. But today, we're doing something special because we have just finished all of Phase 1. So we wanted to talk about all of our feelings of the entire phase all together before we move on to Phase 2, where we start having TV shows and more sequels and a huge expansion of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So what Phase 1 really was meant to do was to lay a foundation for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It was to introduce you to the characters, it was to introduce you to the world they were making, and to show you that movies can be connected, which led to the Avengers, which had characters from different movies all coming together for one epic release. So Trey, what was your favorite movie of the entire phase?
I mean, it's pretty close between Captain America and Iron Man, but I'd have to say Captain America.
I like that you're going with Captain America because I'm going with Iron Man.
What?
Who could have seen it coming? I know, it's crazy. But I think Iron Man, as far as the entire first phase, holds up the best now. Captain America definitely holds up really well. The rest of the movies in this phase, I think, haven't fared as well long term. The Avengers and Thor and, well, Hulk hardly even counts, and Iron Man 2 really just don't stand up to today's standards, by my books.
They're certainly weaker than the others.
Yeah, they're weaker. Like, Avengers and Thor are good movies, but not exceptional by today's standards. But that's what I want to talk about. How Phase 1 laid a fantastic foundation for the rest of the universe, which led to many shows. What are we at now? Like 7 different TV shows?
There's more than that, I'm pretty sure.
Oh my god. Well, Runaways is about to come out.
Yep.
Runaways will be out by the time this episode comes out, isn't it?
I'm pretty sure we already have 6 Marvel Netflix shows too, so...
Oh yeah, I wasn't even thinking about the Defenders. So, Trey, what is your least favorite movie of the phase?
It's a tie between Iron Man 2 and Hulk.
Me too, and I'm trying to figure out which one I'm leaning towards more. And I think I'm going to have to go with Hulk just because I love Iron Man, so Iron Man gets that little edge that pushes him above. So Hulk will be my least favorite.
Yeah, I'm probably going to agree with that. I really want to say Iron Man 2 is worse because it probably is worse as a movie, but...
It's a worse story, but it's more fun. And if you're going to have a movie that's already mediocre, I'd rather have fun with it.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
So later on in this podcast, since Justice League has just come out, we're going to talk a little bit about the difference between Phase 1 of the MCU and whatever you want to call Phase 1 of Justice League, with spoilers. But before then, we took a poll of over 400 people on what they thought of Marvel's Phase 1 in general. Everything from what's your favorite hero, to what's your favorite villain, to who's your favorite love interest, we got it covered. So that's what the focus of today's episode is going to be.
So in this poll, we got 419 responses, and the first question we asked was, what was your favorite Phase 1 movie? And with an overwhelming response of 56.7%, The Avengers is the clear winner.
Oh yeah, seriously, nothing came close. Iron Man took second place at 28.5%.
Yeah, people, love The Avengers a lot more than I realized, I think.
Yeah, I was expecting Iron Man and Captain America to be much higher. Captain America was third place, by the way, at around 11%. But wow, yeah, the Avengers just really took it away.
I'm just so surprised that more people didn't think Iron Man was better than the Avengers.
I think it has to do with the fact that most of these people probably haven't rewatched these movies anytime recently, or at least close together, so that their memories of the past kind of blend together with how they feel now.
I think that makes sense.
Yeah, and we also asked about people's least favorite movie, with an even greater majority was The Incredible Hulk at over 60%. People do not like this movie.
You think?
Yeah, it was also, we also asked everyone which movies they had actually seen. And this was the movie that most people actually hadn't seen, with about 15% of the voters not having seen it. And if you didn't guess already, Iron Man 2 was in second place with about 25%.
Yep, and Thor was in third with about 10%, in case anybody's wondering.
Poor Thor. So one thing we wanted to figure out was why people voted the way they did. So we asked questions about the different aspects of each movie. We asked about which movie had the best plot, the best action, comedy, and drama. So, the winner of Best Plot/Story is, drumroll please, Iron Man with 46%. I find it really interesting that the winner of Best Story was not the winner of Best Movie.
I agree with that.
Yeah, Captain America and Avengers were each tied with about 25% below that. So for action, to no one's surprise, the Avengers dominates with over 3/4 of the vote.
Yeah,
No one came close.
it probably wasn't even fair to put that movie in the same poll because the Avengers action is ridiculous compared to the others.
I agree, but it was only possible because of the others.
Yeah,
Then next was Best Comedy, so the Avengers also won that with about 46%.
Okay.
And Iron Man was in second at 30.
that one surprises me because, I mean, did it surprise you? Did you think the Avengers was that comedic?
I'm not super surprised. I mean, it's kind of funny. I thought Thor was going to be way higher. Thor is third with 13%, but yeah.
So Thor, I think, is the most comedic one of them. Like, it's most comedy heavy, so I'm very confused why Avengers got best comedy.
Yeah. Honestly, Iron Man 2 and Iron Man 1 I could understand having a ton of votes. But yeah, I'm a little sad that Thor didn't do better in this category. But I think part of that has to do with people voting for their favorite movies regardless of the category.
Yeah,
Or
I think
it being biased that way.
I think that makes sense. I mean, there is comedy in the Avengers. I don't think it's comedy first.
Yeah, on a purely comedy basis, I would have voted for Thor.
So we are both in agreement of that, at least. I'm also not sure
Yeah.
why Iron Man got second place. Like, is that just because Tony is funny?
I guess so. He's pretty funny. I like him.
It also doesn't feel like a comedy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's funny like when he's making his suit, all the stuff with the robots. I don't know. I think it deserves to be up there. Either way, the last category is Best Drama, which goes to Captain America, which I think it definitely deserves, with about 40%.
Yeah, that one's definitely well deserved, and it's pretty undisputed.
Yeah, well, Iron Man has about 21%, which I think is pretty well deserved because of all the scenes while he's captured and his life kind of being torn apart when he gets home by Obadiah.
Yeah, I would definitely say Iron Man deserves second place, but Captain America is definitely the most drama of the movies.
Yeah, for sure.
So next up, we have favorite Phase 1 heroes. And the favorite hero is actually beautifully a tie to the exact percentage, with both Iron Man and Captain America having 40.2% of the vote.
Exactly the same. This was amazing to witness. As I was watching the results come in, it kept going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And I really wanted Iron Man to win. But this dead tie is so satisfying. I'm amazed that it's even possible and that it even happened.
I think it's perfect for encapsulating people's opinions about these two heroes.
Yeah. And for those who are curious, Thor was the one who was next with only 10%.
Yeah. And Hulk was after him with 5. Black Widow and Hawkeye didn't get anywhere close, though I did think it was interesting that Hawkeye had a little bit more votes than Widow.
Yeah, in this category, there's a lot of stuff like that to talk about. But first, let's talk about our least favorites, which is Hawkeye with over half the votes.
51.4%.
Yeah, I'm amazed, though, because Black Widow has 20%. She's next in least favorite. I didn't think so many people would vote for her
I agree.
for least favorite.
Yeah. I mean, that's the same is true for lamest powers, because Hawkeye got 46.7%, but Black Widow's at 43.5%.
Yeah, I was expecting more people to vote for Hawkeye. But I'm really glad that it was pretty even, because I think that they're about in the same league, and having them have different scores would have seemed wrong.
I guess.
I'm just glad that they're even. But Thor, he has been rated the one with the coolest powers with 49%, and Iron Man in second with about 29%.
Yeah, and I'm not surprised by that at all, because Thor has the most powers and the coolest powers.
My only concern about that is that this vote came after Ragnarok, where I'm not going to spoil anything in particular, but it's a new movie about Thor. He does new stuff. I think people might be a little bit biased towards Thor right now, because I think Thor's powers were a little bit lamer in Phase 1. I would have voted... Well, I did vote for Iron Man, but I'm surprised Thor won it so handily.
I mean, it's possible that the votes favored Thor because of his new movie, but I think in the previous movies as well, like, yes, Iron Man's suit has a lot of abilities, but I think coolest powers makes it sound like magical, and Thor is like, I have a super strong hammer and can wield lightning and fly. It seems kind of cool.
That is true.
I think he still would have won the vote.
Yeah, I suppose so. That's one of the problems with this poll is people voting for any of these characters with knowledge of later movies.
Yeah.
So speaking of which, going on to the villains, we have them separated by masterminds, the people that use mostly their mind, and combatants, the people that just fight. There are some overlaps like Loki, but we just wanted to split them up so that people would get to vote for everyone that they thought should be represented. Though Loki is pretty much represented by everyone. Loki just dominates all our categories in the villains section. He is the favorite by far with 84% of the vote.
Yeah, he pretty much ruins anyone else's chances.
Yeah, I know. Second place is the Red Skull with 7.2. This is for Masterminds, by the way.
That's
just Masterminds.
just absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, to be clear, here's who we have on the table. Obadiah, General Ross, Justin Hammer, Ivan Vanko.
Or Whiplash.
Whiplash, yeah. Loki, and Red Skull.
So, I also think this is pretty funny because Loki's, like, as a mastermind, his plans are really bad.
Yeah, his plans was to do the thing that his father would have hated Thor to do in order to gain his favor, so that he would be the better loved son and become king.
And then his plan in Avengers was, let me super anger all of the Avengers and Earth's mightiest heroes to start a war instead of just conquering the Earth really easily by, invading it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people haven't really taken a deep look at Loki's plans.
Yeah.
Because they're horrible.
Which he also got voted for best plan with 51%, so that tells you something.
Yeah, I voted for Obadiah for this category, but Obadiah only got like 3.8%.
For favorite villain?
Best, sorry. For best plan, actually, he got 14.5%. That's what I was looking at.
Yeah, and he's probably... I mean, I guess to be fair, the Phase 1 villains, none of them really have great plans. And I agree with the people or with the second place person, which is Red Skull with 28%. Just because Red Skull's plan is more clear, I guess. Even though the ending is also kind of hazy because we're like, why does he want to destroy everything? But he at least has this Tesseract, powers all these super weapons, and like he has clear plans.
Yeah, his plans are obnoxiously crazy, but at least there's a clear aim.
Yes.
So for least favorites and worst planned, the winner of least favorites is Whiplash with 45%.
So General Ross is for second favorite at 25%, and Justin Hammer's at 20%.
Yeah.
But Justin Hammer got worst plan.
Tied with Ivan Vanko, which is perfect since their plan was together and against each other, sort of.
Which might have skewed the poll a little bit, but I don't know how you, take out a villain from a movie. I don't know.
Yeah.
How do you pull this in a good way?
It is difficult. General Ross was in third place with around 22% for Masterminds. Now over to our combatants. We have Obadiah again as the Ironmonger, Emil Blonsky as the Abomination, Ivan Vanko as Whiplash, Loki again, the Destroyer, and Johann Schmidt one more time as the Red Skull. And once again, the favorite is Loki, and once again, the one with the coolest powers, or the one who won the positive vote, was Loki with the coolest powers at 54%.
And he was at 64% for favorite villain.
Yeah. And no one came close for favorite villain. No one came close for coolest powers.
Yeah.
Whiplash, though, got the least favorite vote.
With 36 or 37%.
Yeah. I wasn't sure who was going to win, if it was Whiplash or the Abomination. But I was surprised. The Abomination got third place. The Destroyer was in second with 26% of the vote.
Yeah, which, I mean, is hard because he's not even a big villain in the movie, so putting him there just feels like bait to be voted worst, but he is a villain,
Destroyer?
so yeah.
Yeah, but I felt weird if I left him out. I don't really know what to call the Destroyer.
He is the only combatant in Thor, so I guess he kind of has to be included.
Loki and Thor fight. So Loki is the two.
That's true, yeah.
That's why I included him on this list.
Well, Avengers.
Yeah, that too. Well, that's also one of the things. Loki has a bigger advantage of being in two movies.
Exactly.
The last thing for villains who are combatants was who has the lamest powers, and Whiplash won that also with 34%. And surprisingly, Red Skull was in second with 27. He's just like Captain America. I'm surprised people voted him so low.
To be honest, I think that's a huge fault of the movie for not having him battle Captain America hand to hand much at all, because you don't really see his powers pretty much at all.
Yeah, I hadn't really thought about that. The biggest display of his powers in the movie is him, like, opening a tomb in the very beginning.
Yeah.
And you don't even really think about that requiring superpowers unless you're looking really closely like we were.
And I think there was one moment where he kicked Captain America, and that was like it.
Yeah, wow. That's sad, really.
It really is, because it's a wasted opportunity, but I think that explains why he got lamest powers, even though he probably doesn't have the lamest powers.
Huh, yeah. I agree with that. Interesting. Now that we've talked about the evil baddies of these movies, we wanted to talk about the beautiful sweethearts of these movies, like Bucky and his beautiful hair. So we're talking about love interests. I wanted to make sure our slash shippers had Bucky in this category for if they wanted to vote, which was good since he got lots of votes. So here's who we had. We had Pepper, we had Betty Ross, we have Jane Foster, we have Lady Sif, Bucky Barnes, and Peggy Carter.
Which I have to say, including Bucky on this quiz, even if it was for slash shippers, might have skewed things because people might have just voted him because it's funny that he's here.
Also, I think people might have just voted for him because he is their favorite, not because he is their favorite love interest. So, yeah, I wish I clarified more in the question, but I did really want him to get his time to shine for those people. I'm friends with a lot of people who like that relationship, so I thought it had to be there.
That's okay. I don't think he affected the final vote anyway.
Yeah, the final vote for the favorite love interest of all the movies was Peggy Carter by a landslide. She got over half the vote at 52%, with Pepper Potts being second and Bucky being in third. Pepper with 21%, Bucky with 15.5%.
Yep.
I'm sad. My Pepper lost.
Okay, it's actually really funny that Pepper lost this, though, because she won Best Chemistry.
Yeah, I know. Well, here's the thing. Peggy is like the strong, independent woman
Exactly.
in Captain America, and that's great. Pepper has a lot of those vibes in Iron Man and Iron Man 2 and in Avengers, but not nearly to the extent that Peggy does. Peggy feels like her own character a lot more than Pepper. Pepper needs to rely on Iron Man, on Tony.
Which definitely tells you that as a love interest, people are examining the character and not just like them in relation to the hero.
Yeah, which is why I wanted to include who is your favorite and who do you think has the best chemistry. So, like Trey said, Pepper won best chemistry with 43%, but Peggy did win second place with 32.8%. Also, Bucky got third with 19.2% for best chemistry, which I'm still not sure if it's about love or about bromance.
Yeah.
But for our least favorites,
Who could possibly guess?
it couldn't possibly be the one that we always rant about being the worst, thank God everyone agrees that Jane Foster is the worst. She got 42% of the vote. Thank you. Thank you, other Marvel fans, for agreeing with us.
Betty Ross is surprisingly not too far behind, though, with 34%, and I think that's mostly because people didn't like the movie, because I don't think their chemistry...
I agree.
I don't think she was actually that bad as a love interest.
Yeah, I actually really liked her, so I'm kind of annoyed that people voted for her, because again, I think it's skewed by people not liking the movie. And for worst chemistry, Jane Foster wins again with 48%, and Betty Ross is in second again with 27.7%.
I'm also kind of sad that Lady Sif gets third with 18%.
Yeah, to be fair, I mean, her love interest drama is hardly there. You kind of just see her eyeing Thor, and you know that relationship is there, or you know that she wants him, and that's about all we get in Thor 1.
Yeah, which is why I really, like, if they weren't going to go anywhere with this love triangle, I really wish they just hadn't bothered having her in love with him in the first place.
Yeah, it's a bit unnecessary, and it's also, it's just awkward because, for me at least, I want Lady Sif to end up happy and with the man she loves, and not have Thor end up with this random Earth chick that he knew for 2 days.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah. So the next question that we asked was, who's your favorite side character? And I feel bad that I missed a few important people in the options available, but I did allow people to enter in their own options. So some highlights of who I missed. I missed Odin. I missed Howard Stark. And I missed Jarvis. And I feel so bad about all of those.
But who did you include?
Well, let me tell you who the first place person is, who really caught me off guard. It's Coulson with 33%
Yeah.
of the total vote.
This pretty much shows again how in the minority I am for not liking Coulson.
Although I don't think he's like the most amazing person ever, but in every movie he would always be my second or third or something. He would never be my number one. So I'm amazed that he actually got number one.
Same.
And again, I'm wondering if this is people who are weighted towards future material in the MCU, such as Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Because now that he's gotten so much more coverage, people have more reason to vote for him than just Phase 1.
It's possible.
Yeah. So in second and third place, almost tied, we have Fury and Bucky with about 16% each. Then after them, we have Peggy at 11%, Heimdall at 7%, Happy with 7%, Pepper with 4%, and everyone else, their scores were too low to even bother including. But some special votes I wanted to mention were some people voted for Frigga, who I did not include, so we had 2 votes for her. We had 2 votes for Jarvis, who, again, I feel bad that I forgot. And we had 2 for Fandral, one of the Warriors 3. One of the people that I could never remember his name, so I didn't even bother writing him in. I figured no one would really care, no one would really vote for him, but I was wrong. We have 2 separate people who voted. Also, we had someone try to cheat and vote for Coulson and Peggy. I saw you, I didn't count your vote, cheater. But, aside from just side characters, we have the most important character to talk about, and that's Stan Lee.
Indeed.
We asked people what their favorite cameos were, and I'm glad that, again, people voted for the one I voted for, which is Thor, Man in the Truck.
Yep. I voted for the second place option, which was Avengers. Well, Thor had 40%, and the Avengers cameo has 33%, which is...
That one's really good, too.
Yeah, just him as a guy on the news saying, superheroes nonsense, something to that extent.
Yeah, so what's funny is in third place we have Iron Man, which is just him being Hugh Hefner, which isn't really all that different than what he is in Iron Man 2, which is just Larry King. But the Larry King one only got 2% of the vote.
I don't think anybody knows who that is.
I do.
Hugh Hefner is much funnier.
Fair enough. Also, I think he died last week.
Oh.
Or something like that.
I think he
pretty
died
sure
a
he's
while
dead.
ago, actually.
I don't know, man.
Couple months,
I
maybe.
don't really care.
I don't know. It's whatever.
He's dead. The last thing that we asked was a few yes or no questions. So something that me and Trey have talked about behind the scenes a lot was whether or not you would consider Black Widow and or Hawkeye as main characters in the Avengers. So, Trey, do you consider them main characters in the Avengers?
Black Widow, I consider a main character. Hawkeye, I do not.
And I think they both are. So that's why I wanted to ask the question to everyone else. So, what I thought was interesting was, like this dispute between me and Trey, the population definitely does not share their opinion for these two characters. 90% of the voters said that Black Widow was a main character, but only 73% said Hawkeye was. And I think that's pretty reasonable because Hawkeye wasn't actually with the heroes for most of the movie, but more than half said yes for both.
Yeah, I want to say my reasoning because most of this movie, Hawkeye is just a slave to the villain. He's mind controlled. We don't even get to see him as a hero until almost the final fight. So I don't think he's I don't think he's really done justice in the Avengers, and that's why I don't consider him a main character.
Yeah, I wish he got to fight Loki a little bit more in the very beginning, but the whole point was showing that he wouldn't have stood a chance
Yeah.
against Loki. So the next thing we asked was, would you consider Nick Fury's actions in the Avengers justified? Like, playing off Coulson's death to manipulate the Avengers into fighting for him.
So I think your question was a little too vague because I thought you were referring to him making technology with the Tesseract.
That too.
Okay.
But I guess maybe it was too vague because there was an overwhelmingly big yes. 92% said yes, he's justified. And I thought he wasn't manipulating them like that and making the Phase 2 weapons. I don't know.
I think it's hilarious. Well, I do think he's justified because, I mean, aliens are invading... Well, not... Aliens have the potential to invade the planet as they have before and as Loki's doing now, like, for this exact reason. So obviously he wants to be able to stand up against them. But I think it's hilarious that 92% of people think he's justified and all of the Avengers, like, fight him on it that he's not justified.
Yeah, I guess that's... Well, the thing is, they fight him before the aliens come. They don't really know what's coming. They just know bad things are coming.
Well, Loki's already there attacking, though.
Actually, Thor already explained it also. Never mind. The aliens didn't arrive yet, is my point. But Thor did say they were coming.
Loki is an alien.
The Chitauri... Sorry. Wow, wait, I just realized I didn't include the Chitauri as an antagonist. Or combatant. That would have been complicated anyways. They're a faceless enemy, who cares?
I mean, Loki was terrorizing people and trying to get them to bow down before him before this point in the movie, so I don't think it matters that the Chitauri haven't attacked yet. I think Loki is very much the villain that Fury is wanting to... Like, the type of villain Fury is wanting to stand up against.
Yeah, I just thought manipulating them with Coulson's death wasn't necessary. So it was kind of shady to do. I don't think it was a push that needed to happen.
I think they needed the push of Coulson's death. I don't know if they needed the extra push of Fury telling them about it and using the cards, though.
Yeah, exactly.
So, who knows?
Yeah. Yeah, so speaking of whether or not people were justified or worthy, I should say, the next question was whether or not you thought Thor was worthy of his hammer at the start of the film. And one thing we talked about in that episode is not really knowing if he had to be worthy before the film started. So I'm glad that a lot of people agreed with us that 72% said no, he was not worthy of the hammer at the beginning of the film.
But surprisingly, 28% said that he was.
Yeah, I don't know why you would think he's worthy. He was a reckless, arrogant jerk who almost destroyed, who almost started a war single-handedly.
Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe people misunderstood the question, or maybe we're just missing something.
We might just be missing something. I don't know.
Yeah.
So the next thing that we asked was, do you think the little kid that Iron Man saved in Iron Man 2 was Peter Parker? Because that was a huge fan theory for a while, and then Tom Holland, who plays Spider-Man, confirmed it, and then denied it, and then said it was a maybe, but he thinks it's true, or something like that.
He basically said he made it up as a rumor, and that he wants it to be true, but Kevin Feige never said it was.
He never confirmed it. So it is technically possible, but it doesn't really matter. So this one was the most even vote of them all, with 55% saying no and 45% saying yes.
I'm still glad the majority agree with me that no.
Yeah. I just really liked the fan theory before Sony and Marvel started working together. I thought it was just like a really cute, cool thing that could be true. And the ages just happened to work out really well.
It also just bothers me that they would make Spider-Man a Iron Man fan.
Spider-Man's a huge Iron Man fan in the future movies.
I know, but
It's great. It makes sense in this universe where Iron Man was the first modern hero, like we talked about in Iron Man 2.
yeah, I still don't like it.
Well, did you like the musical number in Captain America, the First Avenger?
I voted no for this one, even though I don't mind it so much anymore. But I don't like it either, so there's that.
I love the fact that it actually gives Steve a ton of character development. It helps him become a real leader and not just a bumbling, awkward person who can't talk to women and can't lead anyone. And I think it's just funny.
Well, our audience agrees with you since 78% of them voted yes, they did enjoy this, and only 23% said, or 22% said that they did not.
Woo! So the next question, which I was really hoping our audience would agree with us, or me, but didn't, was, do you wish The Incredible Hulk was not canon? Because that movie hardly connects to the rest of the universe. It uses a different actor for the Hulk, and God, it's just not very good compared to a lot of the other films. But 2/3 of the group said that they think it should be canon.
And I was part of that 2/3. Because...
Yeah, and I was part of the 1/3 that wanted it gone.
Yeah, I think it's a necessary building block, though. Like, without the building block of the Hulk for the Avengers... I mean, no, it's not a necessary movie, but it's a cool idea to have given each of them a solo movie and then bring them together in Avengers. It would have been much better if it was Mark Ruffalo and they made it a better movie, but I would prefer that they make it more canon and actually reference it more instead of, like, just disregarding it completely.
I agree. I wish they could go back in time and change it, but you can't really do that. Bummer.
Nope.
So the last question was whether or not people liked the Agent Coulson cameos, which, after seeing the results for favorite side character, I guess I should have known it would be an overwhelmingly yes, a huge yes for people liking the Coulson cameos, with 95% saying yes.
Damn.
Yeah. Like, I like them, but I did not expect them to do that well.
Same. I guess people like the idea of it as a shared universe, though, because Coulson's in all of them.
Yeah. I guess I just underestimated how popular he was. Especially with the sidekick vote. I mean, side character vote.
Yeah. Well, sorry, he's not in all of them. He's in most of them.
Yeah, he's not in Captain America. And is he in Hulk?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't either.
We also included a section where people could submit comments about the phase. And we did want to touch on some trends and some interesting responses that we received for that.
We grouped the comments by certain categories. So one was general thoughts of the entire phase. So there was a large group of people who wanted to express their feelings, how they thought phase 1 was fantastic and a great start of a universe. However, there was also a smaller but a significant group that thought that phase 1 is kind of just mediocre, but it did do a very good job of laying the foundation for the future Marvel movies.
Yep.
And lastly, there were a few people that were kind of like us who believe it's pretty good overall, but the middle movies, like the Hulk and Iron Man 2, were a little lackluster compared to the rest.
And a lot of people did say that it was the worst phase, but it was great setup and necessary setup to get the good movies that we have now. And I mean, I definitely agree with this, even with the good films of Captain America and Iron Man, because, well, I mean, as you can see from my own personal stories, I was not a fan of Marvel at this point. Like, these movies did not do it for me. It was not until phase 2, partway through phase 2, that I got super obsessed with it. So, yeah.
Yeah. So the next group of comments that were really interesting were the ones talking about underrated films. A lot of people wanted to talk about which movies they thought didn't get as much credit that they deserved. One person, for example, mentioned, The Incredible Hulk, in my opinion, is really underrated and is my second favorite movie in all of Phase 1 aside from The Avengers. I'm still really surprised that there's a large portion of people that still really love the Hulk.
Yeah.
The original Hulk movie.
And, well, it's not the original Hulk movie, but...
The original MCU Hulk movie. Come on, give me this.
Well, it is the only Hulk movie aside from the original.
We can wish for sequels. Yeah, like there was another person who thought the Abomination gets a bad name and that Justin Hammer is often overlooked. I really want to know what's going on in this guy's head. What does he like about Justin Hammer? I think Justin Hammer is the worst villain of all of Phase 1.
Justin Hammer is definitely lackluster and very dumb. So
he's so stupid.
We have a hard time understanding why people like him, but if you're a Justin Hammer fan, please write to us and tell us why. We also got a few comments talking about how Iron Man 2 is underrated and not as bad as everyone says it is. I don't agree.
Though there is one person who says Iron Man 2 is overrated. So I want to know what he thinks people think of Iron Man 2, because from my perspective, the general consensus of Iron Man 2 is, it's bad.
I think a lot of people think that it's underrated, though, which is probably why he's saying that.
I guess so. So he's trying to counter people thinking it's underrated by saying it's overrated for people thinking it's underrated?
Yeah.
That's very weird. Though, well, one interesting comment in this group was someone saying Thor is the best fish out of water story, which I never really thought about it that way. Do you remember those like weird camera angles you talked about in the Thor episode? About how they try to always make him seem off balance and try to really show it as an alien world to him? I never thought about it as a fish out of water story, and I really like thinking of it that way, because I think it does a really good job of doing that.
Yeah.
Though he does get comfortable a little bit too fast.
Yeah. I mean, it has its problems, but it has its quirks.
Yes.
But I do think it is funny that we did get a comment about how every single movie in this phase, aside from Iron Man, is underrated. And Avengers.
Yeah, a lot of people thought Captain America is underrated. I'm pretty sure most people agree Captain America is good. Although in theaters it didn't do as well as Iron Man 1, if I recall correctly. Because he wasn't really as well known or popular yet. I mean, he was well known, I guess, but people weren't as hyped up about the MCU yet. It really built after the Avengers. And once we got to Captain America 2, his movie made tons of money.
And I think the popular opinion is that the first Captain America film was boring, which I also thought that until I saw his later films, and then I went back to this one and thought, like, now I think it's actually a really good movie, but I don't know. Upon first watch, I'm like, it's kind of boring, even though it's good enough.
I didn't know people thought that. I like it a lot. There were also two comments that were talking about wishing they could replace the Hulk movie with a Ruffalo one, which I wish we could have that, but no.
Yeah. There were a few controversial comments as well. We have a comment saying that Hawkeye gets a bad reputation, but I remember his cameo in Thor as being my favorite cameo ever, and I loved him in Avengers when he actually got real screen time.
I like his cameo in Thor. I just wish he shot one arrow.
I just think it's funny because he literally shows up as a guy with an arrow, or a guy with a bow and arrow, and does nothing in that movie, but this guy loves his cameo, so that's...
Well, whose cameo was... Well, this is like what we talked about in... was it the Avengers podcast? Where I think Hawkeye and Thor is better than Black Widow and Iron Man 2, because even though he's only there for a second, he's Hawkeye. Black Widow is just eye candy in Iron Man 2.
Yeah. Also, well, he also says he loved him in Avengers when he got real screen time, and I'm like, how? He was mind controlled the entire time.
I did like his relationship with Black Widow for the, two scenes that they're together. Like, when Hawkeye is recovering and when they're talking about, Budapest. You and I remember Budapest way differently.
I probably would have liked him more if they did get together, because it felt like that's where they were going, and without that, it just feels kind of weird, and he just remains my least favorite. without that relationship.
I agree. I really wish Hawkeye got some more screen time in the entire MCU in general.
Yeah.
I do like that there's one comment that's like all spaced out to really highlight it. That kid was not Peter Parker. I don't think this person was happy I included that question.
I love that. Because
so
I
funny.
agree.
Oh, should we talk about the really controversial one?
Yeah, I love this comment.
You could say it.
It says, "The Avengers sucks. Joss Whedon is a terrible director. Can't wait to see the Russos do them justice."
So one thing that's funny about the poll is that I asked everyone which movies they had seen, and there was one person who didn't see the Avengers, and I'm curious if it was this person.
Well, he's clearly seen it since he's saying it sucks.
Yeah, but I think some people voted for The Incredible Hulk being their least favorite, even though they hadn't seen it.
It's possible, but this sounds to me like they've seen it.
Yeah. I don't know, man. This guy's crazy.
I like that it's here since we just talked about the Avengers not being that great of a movie. Even though it did do like a good job establishing what it needed to for this universe. But yeah, it's funny. We just thought we'd throw that out there to have the controversial opinion aired.
Yeah. Yeah, there were two other comments that we wanted to highlight. One of them was just talking about how War Machine should have been in the Avengers. And aside from them wanting to focus on the main characters, I can't see a reason of why he wasn't in this movie.
It makes less sense that he wasn't.
Yeah.
Like, the world is going down, and he's not even going to help save it, even though he has an Iron Man suit and wants to do the right thing.
You'd think they get everyone who's capable of helping on board. And speaking of which, if you don't like Iron Man's personality, who can you trust? You can trust Rhodey, since he's honorable and down to business and just kinder.
Yeah. They really
also,
do.
he has the bigger guns.
They really do Rhodey a disservice in these movies because he does not have much of a character.
I know, but he gets a lot more in the later phases, which makes me happy.
But then he's always underused, and he always is treated like
we're never gonna get a War Machine movie.
Yeah.
Would you want to see that?
No.
Me neither, just because it would just be a weird Iron Man movie without Iron Man.
Yep.
It just wouldn't make any sense. Anyways, the last comment that we wanted to bring up was, Avengers 1 made cinematic history, and the only thing that can beat it in that regard is Infinity War. And I think that's a really interesting point, just because nothing has had the same impact as Avengers since. No other cinematic universes, no other Marvel universe. But with the MCU's epic climax of Infinity War happening next year, I think it's really going to be incredible to see the response to these movies.
Yeah, I'm not sure how it could make more history than Avengers did, though.
I don't either, except for the fact that there's going to be 50 characters from previous movies all in one.
Yeah. It's
gonna be crazy.
It's gonna be
I don't understand
so
how they're going to do it. I'm so excited.
Yeah. Me too. All right, should we get to the movie?
Oh, yeah.
Since Justice League just came out, we did want to give our rundown on our thoughts of that movie.
And I thought it would be perfectly fitting since we just talked about the Avengers and all of Phase 1.
So, Henry, what did you think of Justice League?
Well, warning. I believe, are we going to go full spoilers immediately?
Yeah. If you plan on seeing Justice League and you don't want spoilers, then don't listen to this.
Yes, please don't. Turn away! This is your last chance! 3, 2, 1. Justice League was bad.
Yeah, I don't even feel strongly enough about it to call it bad. I literally felt nothing the entire time I watched it. No good, no bad. It just kind of was there.
It's an experience. I can definitely say. Yeah, I agree, but as I think about it more and more, a movie making me feel like that, making me feel blah and nothing, just kind of aggravates me. And
I agree.
Disappoints me. And that's why, I went from blah to bad.
I understand.
On our scale, I would probably give it a D.
Okay.
Maybe a C. Probably a D.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, this movie was basically a quarter of it was just trying to establish all of the characters and the villain that you have never seen before, instead of actually taking the time like Marvel did to give them each a solo movie so you know the character. It was way too rushed. I still didn't feel like I cared or knew any of the characters the entire movie, except kind of the Flash, who I found like likable in this film. To an extent, he did.
I did for 5 minutes, and then he kept doing all the same jokes, and then I got so over it.
I do agree that it was a little annoying at times, but because he was the only positive I have in this movie, I didn't let those like destroy it for me.
Yeah. Well, I didn't like The Flash, but I did like Superman once he came back, because he felt way more positive and joyous and heroic. Way more than he had ever appeared in his previous movies. It felt like what Superman should be to me.
It was definitely clear that they were trying to retcon making Superman such a miserable character before.
Yeah, that was one of the biggest issues with this movie, is it was so contradictory of all of its previous ones. Like, everything about how Batman reacts to Superman is just kind of strange.
Yeah.
Like how desperately he tries to resurrect Superman, even though he had a vision that Superman is going to cause like an apocalypse.
I think Batman in this movie suffered significantly from this like drastic change that the studio tried to make. But so let me just finish what I was saying before.
Yeah, go for it.
So the first quarter was just all trying to set up all this stuff. The like whole middle of the movie was, let's completely try to undo Batman v Superman by resurrecting Superman, and felt just
and making everyone love Superman.
Yeah, it just felt so forced and it just wasn't good to watch, in my opinion. And then the last quarter of the movie was, okay, now we're gonna fight the villain that we barely established in the beginning.
Yeah, it was similar to the Avengers, in the sense that this powerful alien from another realm is bringing this horde of monsters to attack Earth, to destroy it or take it over, whatever. But Loki was actually relatively well developed, even though I didn't think he was very well done in the Avengers one. But Steppenwolf, you never really feel much for him. You just know he really wants to regain favor for Darkseid. I don't really understand why he cares so much about Earth other than getting revenge.
I don't know. I don't even know why he was summoned now.
Well, they said he was summoned now because Earth was weaker than ever because their Kryptonian has left. But what about 20 years ago when they didn't have one? Or 30 years ago?
Who summoned
40,
him?
whatever. I don't know, and I don't know how the boom tubes work. I don't know what was going on.
I liked how he had his own Bifrost and his plot was uniting Infinity Stones.
Whoa. So, their mother boxes? Gosh, Trey.
And the whole middle of the movie was forced or contrived arguments between the main heroes to try and create conflict and plot. Gee, that sounds familiar.
Yeah, it just seemed like an awkward version of the Avengers that needed way more foundation, especially because it has a much bigger world, since it has Themyscira and it has the Atlantis, which I had no idea what was going on in the one scene that they were in Atlantis.
Yeah, there was no clear journey of this movie. The story was just kind of not there. And
yes.
I mean, we get introduced to characters. I think Cyborg was like, he didn't feel like a person at all. Aquaman felt like
he didn't know if he was a person.
Yeah,
anymore.
He literally felt like a robot. Which they said the reshoots were to make, or some of the reshoots were to make Cyborg lighter, and I'm like, did they cut all of those after that? Because he's not light at all.
Apparently, he was way more depressed and way more feeling like an alien than before.
Oh my, okay. And Aquaman seems just kind of like an asshole, but more like I don't know enough about him to know who he is.
Yeah, like Tony is a fun asshole. Aquaman is someone trying to be a fun asshole, but it's not working out.
Yeah, which
I did
probably,
not like Aquaman.
It probably would have worked if he had his own movie first.
Yeah, or if they kept him by the water to let him do some cool waterbending tricks.
Sure.
Yeah, I feel like we should probably cut off the negative stuff there, because as our listeners can probably tell, we could go on and on about this. I want to talk about a few positive things that I liked.
Okay.
I just wanted to mention I really like the Green Lantern being referenced in the flashback sequence.
I did like that too.
Although I didn't really like the characterization of the Flash, I really liked how, except for a few times, I liked how its effects worked. And I really loved when he noticed Superman being faster than him or as fast as him.
Oh my god, okay. So I agree that the effects on the Flash were really cool, but that bothered me so much that Superman was faster than him, because that's the one thing the Flash is supposed to be better at than Superman.
Well, I think the whole point is that the Flash is an amateur who has no idea how to control his powers. He keeps tripping as the Flash. But
Yeah.
Superman has been Superman for, 5 years before he died?
Yeah.
And is in way better control of his power.
I think they made Superman way too OP, which, like, I get that that's how Superman is. He is very overpowered, but they made him ridiculous. Like, it looks like nothing can stand against him. And I don't know. It kind of hurt his characterization for me.
It was cool. But it also kind of reminds me of how the Hulk just destroyed Loki in the Avengers. But in that movie, the Hulk wasn't in full control, and there was also hordes and hordes and hordes of aliens to take care of. Whereas in this movie, Superman could deal with the hordes and with Steppenwolf at the same time with no problem.
Yeah. I don't think they gave him enough weakness or showed him as that human, even though they did improve on his characterization as more of a hopeful figure than before.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see how the DCU continues after this, since it's not doing very well.
If it does continue, we will see, I guess.
At least Aquaman will continue, I assume, isn't it? In the middle of filming?
Yeah, I think it's done.
Oh, okay. I know it's coming out next year, so I don't really know any more than that.
I'm assuming it's in post-production.
Okay, well, whatever.
Yeah.
That is our episode. This time. Trey, could you let our audience know where they could find us?
Yes, you can find us on Facebook and Twitter at Marvelous MCU. You can find us on Instagram at Marvelous MCU Podcast, and you can send us an email at marvelousmcupodcast@gmail.com. Please, if you have any thoughts on Justice League, if you liked the movie, let us know why. If you have any thoughts on Phase 1, send us an email or Facebook us and let us know.
So, if you could like, rate, and subscribe to our show wherever you listen, any bit of support will really help the show grow. And we wanted to actually share some comments that we got with you, such as one comment we got on iTunes from ZYX. I'm a big Marvel fan, but I don't spend my time reading, listening, watching everything, and all things related to Marvel movies, etc. So coming into this, basically I was expecting two super opinionated guys that spend all their time geeking out over Marvel and making the classic, "this isn't like the comics at all" argument for the entirety of the podcast. But I was excited to find out that it's more of a movie commentary that one would have with a friend after watching the movies. I like that they bring some context relating to the other movies and comics, but don't focus on it too heavily. I find myself wanting to participate in the conversation with them, as if they were in the car with me. So thank you, ZYX. That really means a lot to us. Another one that we got was from EERocks12. I'm at the in-between stage of enjoying Marvel and other superhero movies, but I am by no means a super fan. Luckily, this podcast appeals to fans of all levels. The hosts do a thorough walkthrough of the movies and aren't afraid to point out the faults while showing what the movies do well. Listening brought back a lot of nostalgia and made me want to watch the movies all over again. Definitely adding this to my podcast rotation and would recommend. So thank you, EERocks12.
I think that wraps up our podcast, so thanks for tuning in, and we hope you'll join us next time for our special on The Punisher.